and how it's happening from mail theft. So, if you want a chance at winning the locking mailbox with free installation, raffle tickets are over here. We draw them immediately after the meeting. The other chance for the raffle is 50% of the raffle proceeds. So 50% of whatever we take in. So if you don't need a locking mailbox, you can buy a ticket and have a chance for 50% of the proceeds. All right. First person I want to introduce to you is Sarah Burke. She is Special Assistant to City Councilwoman Francis Allen Klenosky and Ward 4. You can thank the Councilwoman and the Ward 4 office for the Knox program. They are the ones that arranged for the grant for the boxes to be free. So, big thanks to them. There are many services in the back that we're bringing you, and MPT is now in 2026. We outgrew our meeting room. Thank you. We are now in a small room for every single meeting that we have, and all of the services that we bring to you will always be in the back of the room, so you can always talk to the people that are offering services. I want to remind you that in the monthly Links magazine, we always have an advertisement for what our meeting is going to be and the subject. In the back, we have our free contractor help program. That's Jim Sr. and Jim Jr. So if you want help to make sure that you're not going to get gouged in repairs for your home, those are the people to see. Neighborhood Watch, Randy will be here soon with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I see him. Come on up, Randy. You're up at the table with Sarah. The next program, that is, if you're not in a neighborhood watch and you'd like to have information and be trained, we have NEST, which is Neighbors Engaged in Safety Together. We have free home security and safety evaluations with Bill in the back of the room. Royalty Plumbing is here. Why is Royalty Plumbing here, you say? So, in order to be a part of Southern Nevada Water Authority's Smart Plumber program, you have to meet certain criteria. I encourage you to look at what that criteria is. Two of them are: you must be licensed in the state of Nevada for 5 years, you must have no complaints for 5 years, and you are not allowed to upsell a customer for anything they did not inquire about. So if you call for a replacement of your water heater, they can't come in and tell you you need to replace this or that. So Royalty is one of our preferred partners. The Knox Box program, Lisa's in the back. She has a Knox Box with her, so if you haven't seen it, you can actually see it. Sun City Summerlin Patrol Chief Terry, where are you, Chief? She's in the back, waving at you. They're here. I want you to take a minute and visit the patrol today for your blue emergency contact forms. Ham radio is here. Our locking mailbox guy is here. SCS volunteers are here. They need drivers, so if you can help with volunteers, please do so. When the program is over today, you're going to be able to go to any table you want, including the table of our speakers, and ask them any question you like. There will be an MPT board member or volunteer at each table to come. So, I want to introduce our first speaker, Gary Barboa, Chief Criminal Investigator, Security Division, Nevada State Secretary of State, Criminal Investigations Division. So how many of you knew there was a Criminal Investigations Division inside the Nevada Secretary of State's office? How many knew they're all members of the Nevada State Patrol? And these are the guys that you want to call when you suspect a scam before you do anything. Okay? These are the guys that are going to be able to help you, guys and gals. All right. Gary, come on up.
Thanks so much. Always a pleasure being back here. Well, Mary Flo and that come back several times a year. We have about an hour presentation to go over things more in-depthly and go over some case studies so you can learn through the unfortunate mistakes of others. And we'll make sure we come back here. But please, if you have any questions today, feel free. It's all about the information. So, as Mary kind of already just asked, how many of you knew? So I have 8 investigators, right? We're all co-certified police officers. We investigate a variety of crimes, but most importantly for today, we investigate investment fraud, securities fraud. We cover financial theft of various types and amounts. We cover a wide gamut. We, on average, unfortunately, investigate about 100 to 250 cases a year. Actually, actually more than that. While we never promise to get your money back, we are probably your best hope. Because what we do is once we see the prosecution of the offender, we work with you and other agencies as well to try and get that restitution court order. Oh, okay, thank you. I forget. Yeah, is that better? All right, so too good to be true. That's something that we can't not hammer enough today, right? Ask yourself always, anytime you get met with any kind of presentation, an offer, or investment, anything it is, if it sounds too good to be true, believe me, it is. So things to keep in mind before we start. Fraud can happen anywhere, all right? One of the things we've covered before, the last time we were here, we had a millionaire who had been, he probably lost about $4 million, right? He didn't go to any of the lawyers, he didn't go to any of the financial advisors. He's a millionaire. He said, I made tons of money on that. I believe I already knew everything there was to know about it. But what he didn't know is that these guys were threatening for something like that. They had a fake office site, they took the construction site that they did not own, but they ordered fake magnets for the sides of the trucks, and that's the companies that were out there. They went all out to make sure they got money. And what I tried to explain to them is like, even if they spent $3,000 in their roof, right, they made $4 million, right? So you always have to go the extra mile to protect yourself. Doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or somebody like this. Never be ashamed to ask for help. Reporting the incident is the first step. One of the things we see all the time when we first start doing these investigations, we'll have people say, well, I didn't want to report it because I didn't want to get this person in trouble. So a lot of times, it's family. A lot of times, it's friends or your neighbors, right? Or somebody you see a lot of times at the store or whatever. They come back to you with different presentations or offers, something that they can make you money very quickly on. And you're hesitant to get them in trouble. But you have no choice. If you have any hope for restitution, and not only for that, but to keep other people from being victimized as well, we have to report the crime. We have to. And again, I told you I'm a hammer on it. If it seems too good to be true, it is. So if something seems too good to be true, how do we protect ourselves? Knowledge. So I could actually do entire presentations on just one of these. But here's the scam we're seeing most often nowadays. I'm sure a lot of you recognize some of them. What I want you to take home is that from all of these, it requires you to do something. It requires you to click on a link. It requires you to make a phone call. It requires you to go to a location and do something for them. Don't do it, right? Don't click on that link. If you have any questions at all, go to the source. There's a lot of different basic things you can do. So a lot of stuff we'll get calls in the office saying, hey, I just got this from Amazon, they're saying this. Well, go to your app, contact Amazon directly. Don't ask those questions. They'll advise you, no, we'll never send you a text. We'll never send you a text asking for your passwords. We'll never send you a text asking you to send you money. All those things. Always go to the source. But each one of these requires you to do something. And if it requires you to do something, that's a red flag right there, right? Because I'm sure there's plenty of you in the room who have financial advisors, a money person, go to Bank of America. You go to them. All these come to you, and they ask you to do something. That's the biggest red flag right off the bat. A couple of things I do want to point out of grandparent scams. So for those unfamiliar, those are the ones that will get that phone call in the middle of the night, whether it be your son or daughter or grandkid, they're in trouble, they're in jail, they've been kidnapped. I can't tell you this enough. Hang up the phone, reach out to whoever's thing to call you. They don't answer, reach out to the parents. Keep on reaching out. It's much better to cause a hassle for someone, maybe get them in trouble or whatever it is, as opposed to actually doing what I say is. Because it's not them. Especially with the advent of AI, that's a whole different presentation altogether. I can create all kinds of different things for you, right? So it's what that's a deal if you call and say, hey, I'm going to call for my granddaughter, blah, 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 and the parents get all worried and they find out it's okay, maybe she gets in a little trouble, just because everybody's worried about it. It's not that big a deal as opposed to consequences. But out of all these scams, the one we're seeing the most often is romance. I know. We get that eagle every time. And it's always a giggle of like, laughter, like, it never happened to me, right? But we're going to show you a bunch of different things and how quickly it can cascade into a bunch of nonsense. So what they do is they create an attractive identity. They reach out to you. Again, they reach out to you. Most often than not, it's a text, right? You get that text that says, hi, so-and-so, and it's not you. So you respond, oh, I'm sorry, I reached the wrong number. And then a conversation ensues. So it's always going to be a fake identity. Nowadays, again, AI. Normally, they used to use that a few years back, they just take pictures off the internet. Now they can use AI to create whatever it is they want. They initiate contact. Again, they come to you. They win your trust. So what they do normally, this applies to all scams, right? They win your trust. If it's a distraction scam or something in person, they come up to you, they're very gregarious, so positive, they just want your attention for a few minutes. At Christmas time, when I was approached at a gas station, it kind of made me laugh. I stopped in right where she's holding the cue cards. I said, I'm not even interested, don't approach. And he holds up a red sign that says Christmas, and he said, I just want to talk to you a few minutes about the Christmas fund. And I was like, Christmas fund? He said, yeah, it's Christmas fund for Christmas. I saw the Seinfeld episode, I know what you're talking about. The human fund for people, I got it. They want you to sign up. Usually they have to go to an app to converse. I'm going to go over that, the app that they use. They get you to make a transaction into a fake account. Usually they use a crypto kiosk. We're going to go over that as well. And then they prove legitimacy by showing success on a fake platform. So what they'll do is they'll actually send you a website that they made, and it'll look like your money's skyrocketing, right? You inserted $10,000, and in a matter of hours, now your account shows $20,000. So you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm going to give you more money. And there you go. That's more money. So let me show you how quickly this can happen. I was out in the office one day. I get a text on my work phone. And it's this. It's me, Chen. Is this really a business number? I type back, shh. But then she keeps on going. Sorry, I think I was careless. Start having a conversation. So I decided to chum the water, right? So I say, no ma'am, I'm a 70-year-old man sitting on my hands. My name is Alvin Cumberland. Alvin Cumberland is one of my two cases way back when I used to work in a cover. So I'm very familiar with that, so I'm confident. So, what does she say? Normal people are going to be like, sorry, my bad. She doesn't. Jen wants to talk to me. How about you? Can we get to know each other? After all, meeting is a matter of faith. So we continue the conversation. Nice to meet you. Maybe we can get to know each other. I explained to her that I'm a widower. Nothing to do. So she continues. I'm sure you're surprised by all this, right? Okay. So now she starts to actually be a little bit more suggestive. That's usually what they do. They're hoping to incite some sort of reaction. We just kind of converse back and forth. She asked where I live. I taught her Florida. She asked if there's any beautiful So I tell her about the house in Knoxville. And then she started talking about increasing my income, right? Why not? She's a woman of many talents, and she wants to help me increase my income. So how about we change our chat to Telegram or WhatsApp? Now, if you've been in any of our other presentations before, it's because most of the time, not only on those apps does your conversation disappear, at least it disappears into their cloud service, but both of those apps, their companies, are not necessarily law enforcement friendly. So many times we'll serve them with search warrants for information, subpoenas for information, and they'll just outright refuse. Can I speak to this? So she sent me more pictures, and she really wants me to go to Telegram so we can talk about things. We start to talk about finances. She said, I can help you with that, but we can only do it on Telegram or WhatsApp. And then this is where it kind of falls apart. I said, she tells me that she's uncomfortable talking about it on this line, because it's a business line. So I asked her, hey, can we please continue to talk? You were actually speaking to a group of law enforcement officers. Well, we broke up. So, unfortunately, in our experience, we never heard from our new girlfriend again. But what happens to the victims who do keep on going? Usually you get asked to send an investment into cryptocurrency. Why? Because the industry is not heavily regulated, same as the other answers we told you about, right? There's also very different applications and stuff that are not law enforcement friendly. So I told you about the fake platforms. This is one off the scam. I wish I could have made it bigger for you. But it's hard to tell, it's a little blurry, but it says on here that our victim inserted a little over $8,000. And I don't know if you can see, but in an hour it's increased to $12,000. Wow, right? Yeah, get me in on that action. And as you can see, it's pretty real, right? It has Bitcoin, it has all kinds of good stuff. So to the layperson, you're going to see that and go, okay, this is real. But in reality, your money's gone. So what they do is they want you to see success. If you do that application utilizing a cryptocurrency kiosk, you see immediate success. This therefore, what you do is you'll say, or they'll contact you and say, I have another opportunity, and it's going to make even more money than this. But I need your money now. I need it in the next 15 minutes. Okay, how much do you need? $5,000. Sure. When the victim wants money, they're told they have to pay fees. So that's what happens, right? And you'll say, well, I have a lot of money in there now. I want $4,000. Sure, but I need a $1,000 fee, a transaction fee, for you to get that $4,000. And more often than not, people pay it. Dean had a case where I think you had a gentleman right who gave 5 different times fees of at least $2,000, $2,000 to $4,000 each time, in the hopes of getting money back. It only stops when your money dries up. That's a kiosk. I'm going to try and cruise through here because I only have a few minutes left. There are 10 major crypto kiosk operators in the United States. They will use the same tactics we already discussed. They'll approach you, they'll use high intensity tactics, telling you somebody's in jail, they need your money, they need an investment that will disappear in 5 minutes. Sometimes, and most times, they'll ask you to call them, and they'll keep you on the phone, and they'll walk you through how to use this thing. If you ever go to do a Google search, check CNN, they did a very good story on it. They actually showed police officers, the clerk, a 711 call somebody said, hey, this guy just put money into the kiosk. And they had to literally stop him. While they're standing there, he's talking to somebody, he's trying to put $38,000 into the kiosk. Once you complete the transaction, they hung up. I wanted to show you this. This is a tracing tool that we use to trace money that's in a crypto kiosk. So as you can see, our victim in this case put $49,000, almost $50,000 into a crypto transaction. 1 minute later, the money was in Singapore. 1 minute later. So once that happens, your money's gone, right? So that's why I'm telling you, do not utilize the crypto kiosk. Do not utilize it. And everybody's like, I don't even think we have any here in town. So I wanted to show you this. In the greater Las Vegas area, there's 388 kiosks. When you come into your area, This is a proving gang that was here a few months ago. What they would do is they would wait at a bank. They would pick out elderly victims. They had already stuck coins into the slots so your card would not work. They would be wearing suits like mine. They'd walk up and they'd say, hey, I'm from America or wherever. And just want to help you. You have an issue with this machine. You give them your card. They have you do the tap, but they do it for you. And let me show you how to do this. So they tap, and then go ahead and enter your PIN. And while you're entering your PIN, he switches cards. And you enter your PIN, somebody else is watching for your PIN, and now he gives you what you think is your card back, put it away, get your money, leave. But now he has the card and everything. They were arrested in New Jersey, but were released and able to flee back to Peru. But they were here in the Summerlin area for about 6 months. Let me see if I get this to work, hopefully. I just want to show you how quickly it happens. This lady won a jackpot of $450, and she's about to withdraw from the kiosk. Happens very quickly. But while she's getting this queued, so again, pay attention to your surroundings at all times. Things happen very quickly. This guy is very positive. So he's somebody that I was able to get into the notorious Las Vegas Black Book. He did this, if we're able to see it, 215 times of what I was able to track down. He made several $100,000 with it. So this woman here is about to lose $450. If we're not going to get it, okay, we'll move on. I'll send it to Mary, she can send it to you, but what happens is she's at the kiosk, a gentleman walks up to her, and very positive, he's like, I'm so lost in these giant places, can you help me point out the direction of the buffet, trying to meet my family, and he's doing a lot of big hand gestures. And she turns around and effort to help him, she's already put her ticket in. And while she has her back turned, she's still facing with her, but he does this with his hand, grabs the $450, puts it in his pocket, and he's like, you know what? I'll find it. Well, I don't want to trouble you anymore. He's not. And meanwhile, she stands there, you see her, she just stays looking at the machine, waiting for her money to come out. It's gone. And it happens every time. Right? And that's how quickly it can happen. And that happens at one of our local casinos. It can happen at the ATM, it can happen in a lot of different areas. Always pay attention to your surroundings. Uh-oh.
Right now.
There we go. Oh, got it better. Hey, thank you. Oh, no, still not. That's okay. So what did we learn? So check out the seller. If you remember one of the presentations I made before, we had some ladies who had been victimized at a local realtor school. If they had Googled them, they would have saved each one of them about $500,000. Because if they Googled them, the entire page comes down and the story is about how he spent 8 years in prison for doing the same thing, right? Do your own due diligence, make sure. Be a skeptic. Scammers hate questions. And the more questions you ask, the more irritated they get, that should be a red flag and you should walk away. No one should ever be bothered by your questions. It's your money. Understand the investment. I can't tell you how many times when we talk to victims, we'll ask them, well, how was the investment supposed to work? What were you supposed to get the return on your investment, and what was it? Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Then you should never, if you always know what you're going to do. If they come and tell you, you don't have to do anything. You give me $100,000, you don't do anything, I'll take care of everything. No. Like my girlfriend, it's time to break up. All right. Thank you for listening. That's our address. Those are our phone numbers. Mary will have all that information as well, so I relates to it and kind of test the difficulties. But again, come back later. We'll have way more information for you. My guys and I will also be able to answer your questions. Okay? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jerry. The next presentation, I really want to show you their website. So I'll keep working on it, see if I can get it to work. The next one is from Loran, McAlister, Criminal Investigator, Nevada State Contractors Board. And he's here to tell you all the reasons you don't want to hire an unlicensed contractor. And it's not just about shoddy work or overcharging you. It's about your personal safety, because these people people are criminals. So, Loran, welcome to Sun City.
I apologize, this is my first time doing one of these presentations, so if I seem a little unpolished. Better? There you go. So, a little bit about me. Born and raised in New Zealand. My parents were Baptist missionaries. Unfortunately, came back to the States. Did high school in Boston, and moved from Boston to Missouri, joined the military, stationed out here in Vegas. Did 4 years, became a state trooper. So worked 4.5 years with the Nevada Highway Patrol. Transferred from NAP to North Las Vegas, where I did another 20.5 years. So I retired July 9th, 2024, after 25 years in law enforcement. I say that because I'm a criminal investigator. The Nevada State Contractors Board has 2 offices, one in Reno, one in Las Vegas. Reno is allotted 2 criminal investigators for the whole northern portion of the state, so Tonopah, all the way north. Las Vegas, we have myself and my partner Jason back there, so we have 2. We have a 3rd guy starting on Friday, so there's 3 of us for all of Southern Nevada for the criminal side. So you can imagine it's a little busy. With the Contractors Board, what they are, if you are unfamiliar with them, which I was before I started working for them, we're the board that license all the contractors in Nevada. So it's kind of like the DMV. So if you're a contractor, you need a license to the Contractors Board. We're funded by the Contractors Board. We're not a state agency. We do fall under business and industry, and we do report to the state. However, we're not funded by them. We have our own executive officer. A little bit of history with that. Our executive officer, retired DEA special agents. Our director of investigations, he was deputy director of investigations for the FBI. Our deputy director of investigations, retired Metro, and our special supervisor as 27 years Metro. We have a lot of law enforcement experience, so we have seen a lot. Thankfully, our presentation, we've seen a lot. I've been with the board now 13 months, and my eyes are truly open. They say contracting is the biggest scam in Nevada, and it really is. So you need to know that there are licensed contractors and unlicensed contractors. You get a lot of unlicensed contractors that will come in, they advertise on Craigslist, do word of mouth, all different websites. They're the ones that are going to come in, give you the cheaper bid, say they can do the work quicker. However, some of them will have websites, some of them will use fake contractor license numbers, and they, like I said before in that presentation, they're really good at talking to people, they're really good at gaining your confidence. So we have a website, we have a phone number, so if you are ever in doubt, if you don't have access to the internet, call us up. Monday through Friday, 7 to 4, one of the investigators, either myself, my partner, or our compliance investigators, they're the ones that deal with the license companies. We answer the phones. So you're a secretary or an office worker, you're going to get an investigator that answers the phones that can answer your questions. So our website has a tab where you can punch in somebody's name, their license number, or the company name, and it will tell you if they are a licensed contractor. It will give you information about the company. It will give you what we call their bid limit, which means that if they have a bid limit of $10,000, they can't come to your house and say, I can roof your house for $20,000. They're only insured or bonded for $10,000. That's a violation. So something to look up when you do hire a licensed contractor, make sure they're within the compliance of their bid limit. It will tell you if they have prior discipline actions with us, so if they've gotten in trouble with the board, that'll be listed on the website as well. So again, the licensed contractors, if you go with them, they are protecting you guys because they do pay a fee to us. They are insured, they are bonded. If they do shoddy work, they do complain to us. We have to, like I said, we have compliance investigators. I apologize if my boss gets kicked and I start speaking fast, so I'm sorry. We have compliance investigators. If you hire a licensed contractor, they messed up their job, you can file complaints. The compliance investigator will come out to your house, look at it, take pictures, they set up a meeting, and they try to come to a resolution. Now, we do have companies that don't comply, they don't do what they're supposed to. Well, then we send them to our board, we have a courtroom. It's almost like a real court. We have an administrative law judge. If you get in trouble enough, you can suspend your license and you can revoke the license, so then you can't work into that anymore. the Attorney General's office, and once they get convicted, then it's kind of like a DUI. It's going to be creating progressively worse. So it goes from a misdemeanor to a gross misdemeanor to a felony. So then they actually will face repercussions. But the ones that we see are the ones coming in, getting some money from people, and then they get in trouble and they don't pay the fines. So you can always, like I said, the best tool is to wait. If you get a bid, and it seems to, like I said, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So think about it, get a second quote, call us. We can verify whether that company or that person is licensed. If they are licensed, we can also tell you that. We can tell you that they've been in trouble before. But again, if they're unlicensed, you run the risk of them coming into your house. We have the access to the same database as we did when we were officers. So there are people coming into houses that have warrants, have warrants for violent offenses. They have concealed carry permits. Not saying anything is going to happen, but you're putting yourself in a position where they're not checked and they're not vetted. So please, like I said, if nothing else, please call us. We'll have our phone numbers, or we'll have it for you as well. But call us. We're Monday through Friday, 7 to 4. Someone will always answer the phone. If we don't, it's because it usually happens when we have the phone time. I want the phone talking to you and somebody's calling in, leaving a voicemail. So we will get back to you. But these guys and gals are out there. We have on our website, which we're trying to pull up, is a most wanted section that has mugshots and photos of people that do this over and over again. I just had a case. He's up there. His name is Kevin Watson. He's out of Atlanta, Georgia. He just set up a contract with an elderly couple. They live out there by Sunrise Mountain. Retired, disabled military veterans. They both in the 70s. He came in, fancy video, fancy websites that I could remodel your house. They wired him $90,000 the first day. The people at the bank said, "Are you sure about this? This doesn't seem right. The wire transfer is not going through." She was so upset because she had signed a contract. She was worried about getting in trouble. She assured the bank that everything was fine. The wire went through, got $90,000, got another $30,000 the next week, up to $150,000. Now he did deliver some products. It took 9 months to come from China. All right. There was no space for the contractors to store them, so what couldn't fit in the garage was outside of the backyard. So you can imagine it got damaged. It wasn't what they wanted. He did have a worker. He hired an unlicensed guy from North Days to come out to do some of the work. He stopped paying that guy. So these people have been living for the past, I believe it's going on 13 months with no working kitchen. The family room was a mess, and we're in the process of fighting with this guy. It was his first time. He's never been in trouble with us before, and he's based out of Atlanta. So he hired some shiesty attorneys in Las Vegas to come to us. I have a meeting with them on Thursday, but all we can do is find him right now. And like I said, if they would have gone and looked, they would have seen that he wasn't licensed, but they were taken aback by these fancy videos, the fancy website, and like I said, they're disabled veterans, and he gave $150,000, and they don't have a working kitchen. So, I have another lady who hired somebody. She found him on Craigslist, $78,000 for a water heater. So, what these people can do is they can come with an iPad, and we'll have your initial sign, and then they automatically that signature into our contract. And then we can't take care of it, and we have to send it over to the district attorney or the attorney generals. So be worried about your signing. I tell people all the time to contact your children, your neighbors, your friends, other contractors, run things through them, because obviously things are more expensive nowadays. So that's what will cost you $2,000 a couple years ago, will probably cost you $4,000 or $5,000. But like I said, $78,000 for a water heater and some plumbing repairs. And she was just to take effect. She said he was very charming. Her son was actually a plumber, but she didn't want to bother him. She felt like she had to do it herself, and that's what happened. So again, we are here for everybody. The contract for it, it's a great organization. Unfortunately, we are severely overworked and understaffed, but we're working to fix that. When Jason and I started, we've been there a year now, a little over a year. The compliance investigators, they're the ones that deal with the complaints from the licensed contractors. They had over 150 to 200 Vegas, I have a lady who's now out of Overton. I've had some in Toronto, but Las Vegas is very busy for us. These guys and gals know what they're doing. I say guys and gals, it's mostly a male-dominated career field, per se, for legal contractors, but we do have females out there doing the same thing. They mostly specialize in the interior design, modeling, things like that. But we have some material here for you guys and gals. It's pamphlets about what to expect, how to do things. There are things that are licensed, that are required to be licensed. Some things aren't. Landscapers, if they're just doing the maintenance, they're not required to be licensed. If they're removing stuff, replacing the water lines, redesigning things that they are. So we have a bunch of literature here. Please stop by and grab some on the way out. If you have questions. Again, these people print out the fact that if your pipes are leaking, your AC is not working, or the heater's not working, you want that fixed as quickly as possible. It's an inconvenience. But please, please, please get a hold of us if you're not sure. There's a section straight. There are only exemptions. I almost forgot to mention that. There is a handyman exemption in the Nevada law, so a person can come in as a handyman. They can only do jobs under $1,000. So a handyman can come and have them rehanging your doors, doing drywall, that's fine. They can't touch HVAC, electrical, plumbing, or fire suppression. Those are life safety trades. So if a handyman comes in and messes up your electrical work, it causes a fire. So those guys and gals can do handyman stuff, but it has to be under $1,000. Also, when you do sign a contract, one of the rules in Nevada is you only have to give a down payment of 10% or $1,000, whichever is less. So we see people coming all the time, signing a deal, and putting a $30,000, $50,000 down payment. That's illegal. That's a violation as well. So keep that in mind. What they do is they can set a progress payment. So $1,000 down payment, we begin demolition, you pay this much. We begin pre-construction, you pay this much. That's fine. But when guys and gals come in asking for big deposits, that's a red flag as well. We got a guy who was doing patio covers. He was coming in getting $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 deposits to people to the tune of, I believe, he did it to 27 different individuals. He left the stage. He ended up filing 27 felony warrants of theft because he took the money and ran. So it may not seem like a lot, but people do it over and over again to the people. And what they'll do is they get in the neighborhood and they'll go right down the street, get as many people as they can. So again, just remember, down payments 10%, $1,000 whichever is less. Again, the biggest thing I want to stress is please, please, please call us. Like I said, people are out there, they look very, very hard towards the LGBT community, to the disabled, and people that are trusting. So again, we're here for everybody. Please, 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 if I can say anything else, call us. It breaks my heart that I think one from somebody, I had one last week, he paid $500,000 for a licensed contractor to come and remodel his home. And he did not half the job, and now he's gone. His house is in shambles. So they are out there, and they'll like sharks in the water. They will come in, they will try and get you to pay for the contractors, get you to pay for materials, all the things that should be written to the contract. These guys and gals they're unscrupulous. So thank you for your time. I don't take up too much of it, but appreciate it. If you have any questions, we'll be at the table afterwards. Thank you.
Loran and Jason after the meeting. The other thing I will do, since I don't know why I can't see anything working. So what I will do is I will put this out on e-blast. So you'll be able to pull it up. So that website right there, when you pull it up, it's the mugshots he was telling you about. These are the people they're looking for. The other thing I would recommend before I introduce our next presenter, because he's probably going to be shaking his head yes when I say this, do not open your door to these people. If they knock on your door, ring your doorbell, you answer through the door, through the window, through your Ring camera, but you don't know who these people are, so please do not open your door. All right, this guy needs a little introduction because he's here all the time. I think he's actually a secret resident. Randy Klenosky.
it's great to see such a great turnout. When I started working with the Sun City community, we were actually the Northwest Area Command. It was long before the Summerlin Area Command opened up. And for years, the biggest concern in Sun City, Summerlin was, what do you think type of crime? Anyone want to guess? Burglaries, right? Burglaries has always been the number one concern for Sun City, Summerlin. And we did have some years where there was some really bad spikes. So, I wanted to go through the numbers before I came here today, because Mary asked me to speak about some of the crimes and the statistics here regarding the scams and frauds. But I wanted to see, historically, burglaries has always been at the forefront of your concern. So I went back the last couple of years, and in 2024, we had a pretty significant amount of burglaries here in the Sun City community. Out of almost 8,000 homes, we had 38 residential burglaries. We went back over last year, 2025, the whole year, we actually reduced that number down to 20, which is less than, it's about a 47% decrease. So that's a great number, because we're seeing that decline on there. So then I said, all right, well, we're coming here today to talk about frauds and scams. How did the Sun City Summerlin community get affected in the last couple of years? So in 2024, there were 39 residential residences that were affected by frauds or scams. And in 2025, we had about a 10% increase. So we're going in the opposite direction. We had 43 last calendar year. So we're going in the opposite direction. We're going up in numbers of scams and frauds. And I think Mary and Loran can speak to this. Is that I think criminals are getting smarter and working not as hard. It's harder to commit a burglary than it is to commit a fraud or a scam, because a lot of times it can be done over the phone, it can be through emails and texts. Gary, I don't know if we met, I think we met at National Night Out a couple of years ago, but I didn't realize that we had the same girlfriend. My relationship was a lot shorter because, I got right to the chase. Gary, he strung her on there. I was like, I'm going to do all, I got this chit chat. I wanted to get right down to business, and she said no. But we had the same girlfriend for a little while. But, the frauds and scams, the information they put up there, I do some seminars as well, presentations, and we have a lot of the same information. And like Gary said, people always say it'll never happen to me. I'm too smart, I'll never fall for that, and then they do. And one of the other things Gary spoke about was knowledge. Knowledge is power. It can help you prevent being the victim of a crime like this, but also sharing your knowledge can help prevent others. Frauds and scams, the criminals, they get very effective, and they can get a lot more victims, because most victims of frauds and scams don't report it. Why don't they report it? They're embarrassed, they feel shame, they blame themselves. I can't believe I fell for that. I paid $500,000 to remodel my house, and I'm here with no kitchen, no sink, no bathroom, no electric. So they don't tell anybody because they're so embarrassed. And then that criminal can go and get more victims and more victims. So it's very important that if you or someone you know, a friend, a family member, a relative, a neighbor, is the victim of a scam, you've got to report it. You've got to report it with the proper authorities. I went back over the last 90 days. Some of you may be on my Zoom chats. Every quarter I do the Zoom chat with the Sun City Summerlin, and I go over the crime stats here in Sun City, and we keep seeing the increase in fraud. So to highlight some of the situations that we've had, some victims, I just want to share a handful of reports that I've culled over the last 90 days. And I got to say, reading these breaks my heart, because the victims, they have such good intentions, and they believe that they're going to receive benefits from these false promises, and then to hear the amount of money that they lose, it's just, it's heartbreaking. So just to give you some examples, we had a few forgeries take place. One is a gentleman wanted to send his daughter, who's out of state, $4,000 to congratulate her for graduating, and he wrote a check and he put it in the regular mailbox. He actually dropped it off at the post office, which is something that we recommend. And we say don't put it in your outgoing mail, never mail money, gift cards, anything that can be used by unintended persons in your mailbox. Go to the post office. So he did drop it off at the post office, but somewhere along the line between him dropping it off in the slot inside the post office and getting it delivered to his daughter out of state, it was intercepted and it was cashed by somebody else. They washed the check, they changed it to that person's name, and they made off with $4,000 of his money. We had a couple of victims who were the victims of identity theft, where folks had obtained their personal information by the time they realized that these people had done this, we had one person who lost over $2,500, another person who had over $17,000 withdrawn from their bank account because they had changed their information on their banking statements and their personal information, and they were able to withdraw $17,000. We had a couple others who had gotten the credit card information from a couple of our victims, and one lost $6,700, and another one over $3,300. And then a lot of these are strangers. The majority of the criminals are out of state, out of the country. We talk about Singapore, the Nigerian scams, those sorts of things. But every now and then, it's people that you know and you trust. So we had a victim of a forgery who happened to be away from their home, and they told the person that they were living with here in Sun City, hey, my unemployment check's going to be coming. Could you please collect it for me? Well, after 3 months, she came to get her unemployment checks and was told, well, no, we never received that. So she did her due diligence. She went to work with the state on her unemployment checks, and it turns out one of her own relatives who was living in their house had taken the checks and forged them and took $6,500 unemployment money. So it's not always the strangers. Sometimes it's people that you know and you trust. You have to be very careful with who you know and who you trust. So, when it comes to frauds and scams, these guys are the experts, so I really encourage you at the end of the presentation, when we're all done here, is really stop by their booths, get their information, ask them questions that you may have, but you have to always be very diligent about who you're talking to. I think Gary talked about it. When you get these emails, these phone calls, these text messages, never click on the link, never call the number that they provide you in that information. You're going to get the numbers from where? Where are you going to get the numbers to call? Right? If they say you're from a credit card company, take out your credit card and call the number that's on the back. If they say it's your bank, if they say it's a service provider, you've got an energy, cable company, those sorts of things, always call a trusted number that's in your records. It's in your statements, whether it's credit card statements, your bank statements, your billing cycle statements, those sorts of things. The other thing is, some of the other scams that we receive is, some of the other scams that we're seeing around here are people claiming to be from a government agency, and you miss jury duty, and you have to pay us, give us $500 in Walmart gift cards in 24 hours. We're not going to call you and tell you that you missed jury duty. The IRS is not going to call you and tell you that you owe back taxes. They're going to keep you via the U.S. Postal Mail. Okay, so be wary of those scams. My captain tells a funny story where he was contacted by somebody who said they were with the sheriff's office and they were taking money, taking a collection of the police officer's fund. And he's like, really, that's interesting because we don't have such a fund. And I showed the badge. And the guy actually ran out of the restaurant. He was going out of the restaurant trying to take a collection for that type of fund. So, they get very creative. Usually around the holidays is when we see a lot of spike in activity. And then we also see around tax season. So we're coming up on tax season very soon. April 15th is that dreaded deadline for everybody. But right around this time of year is when people start getting their pension statements or their W-2s. You start getting that stuff in the mail. If you don't get it by February 1st, make sure you contact whoever your pension statements are coming from or your W-2s are coming from, because there's a chance that maybe you were stolen in the mail if you're still getting it in the snail mail. I know a lot is done electronically. So be very protective of your personal information. Never give that out over the phone or email or text messages, like Gary said. And keep doing what you're doing about burglaries, because we love to see those numbers keep climbing here in Sun City. I know we're here to talk about frauds and scams, but we deal with all crimes at my station. So whatever you're doing with the burglaries, investing in your home security measures, not opening your doors up to strangers, like Mary said. She knew I would say that to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep working with Rose and Mary and the MPT team on starting Neighborhood Watch, because knowledge is power, sharing that information, and getting to know your neighbors is the best way to protect yourself. So I really don't have much more. I got 5 minutes, so I can tell some stories if you want. But these guys probably want to get on with their day. So I just want to thank you all for showing up. I want to thank Mary for inviting me as always, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the next Zoom chats.
Thank you, Randy. This is an unpaid commercial. His next Zoom chat is Wednesday, February 11th at 10 a.m. You can do it from the comfort of your home. You just have to log into Zoom. It is also recorded, So if you can't make it live, you can ask Randy questions on Zoom for that chat. He'll tell us all the latest stats in Sun City, but if you can't make it, you can always play the recorded version. You guys are going to be happy because we're moving right along. The next person I would like to introduce is Abraham Ramirez. He is the branch manager from Wells Fargo Bank, Sun City Summerlin branch. And I have to tell you, the first time he and I spoke, and we talked about everything that he sees at the bank, he's going to blow your minds.
I've been hearing some of the presenters before me, and I'm having to come up with new stories because they're stealing my materials. So we'll have to sit down and see who's going to go or what. But it's all really good information because we all see it from different angles. At the branch level, I'm dealing with you folks here coming in. I actually see the front lines. The first thing people do is run to the bank and say, shut my account down. And as things progress, it's a little bit difficult to do that nowadays. We do still have to go through, find out what's going on, what the type of fraud is, and then what the compromise level. So I just kind of wanted to start there and go over two types of financial exploitations. The first one is financial fraud. So this happens when someone else takes action against you, steals your information, whether they steal a debit card or a credit card. And then the other type of financial exploitation is scams. So scams are a little bit trickier for the bank because somebody has convinced you to do something to come in as yourself with your actual card ID and take out money and then give it to somebody else in the form of gift cards, wire transfer, or now what we are seeing is they're instructing you to go into other ATMs and deposit this money using this little hand device that usually everybody carries around in their pockets or purse. So I wanted to kind of just go over some of the common scams that we're seeing in fraud that we see here at the bank level. So just last week, this is Madison Bucket. She's one of our premier bankers. And how many fraud situations would you say you had last week? Three, right? And how many days of the week were you there? 5 days. Well, at the Sun City, you were only there 2 days, right? That week. And I dealt with about 4 or 5 of this. Again, it's the community here that is coming to the bank, and it's very difficult to retrieve some of this money at times just because of the way they're doing it. So one of the common ones is it all starts with a text message. And it'll say, do you recognize this charge? What I want you guys to do before you reply, before you panic, do 2 things. Look at the phone number that just texted it to you. 99% of these numbers that are texting you have an area code. Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, they use an automated texting system that is designed about anywhere from 4 to 7 digits. So when you see a phone number pop up with an area code out of state, it's the first indicator that most likely that text is not from the bank. What it is an actual individual, and they're phishing to see who's going to reply and say, no, that wasn't me. And as soon as that happens, they'll call you and say, hey, thank you so much for replying to that text message. I'm so-and-so, financial representative, protecting your account. And then they continue the fraud, right? So how many of you guys are trying to protect your money every single day? I think all of us. So that's the first layer of trust that they gain, is that they're helping you protect your finances. And the scam is very simple, where they enable or continue sending these text messages as tests, so that you continue to lose your safeguards and trust them. And say, hey, I'm going to do a test. I'm going to send you a code, and can you just repeat that code to me? And that's going to prove to you that I am who I say I am, and I am with the bank. And just like magic, you get that code. So you're thinking, okay. Now, one of the things on that message, it says that we will never ask you for that code. exactly what the individual on the phone is doing. And 10 times out of 10, that code is always given. And as soon as you give that code, you're enabling them to access online, you're enabling them to complete a transaction, and we've seen within minutes. We had one where if it would have stopped and read the message, it said, do you authorize this transaction at Smith's for $1,900? And they said, if you got the code, click yes. So when they put yes, and then they go, oh, it looks like it didn't work on mine, I'm going to try to send it again, and reply yes again, and then every single time they're doing it, they're taking this money out of your account. So it's very important to read that text message information. Because a Wells Fargo or a bank employee, in fact, actually this is across the board, as you communicate with some of the other banks, we will never ask you for that information. And if you ever find it surprising, because we get a lot of people come in and say, I spent 30 minutes with your phone bank, and then they hung up, and I had to call back in, and I don't think the same individual, right? Does anybody ever get frustrated with that? Funny enough, with these fraudsters, as soon as you drop the call or hang up, they call you right back. Right? So that's also a safeguard. You're like, wait, it's rare to get the same individual. So the fact that I just got the same exact person calling me back after I hung up, chances are it's a scammer. So that is one that we're seeing here in real time as early as last week, where we're using these text messages. They're having you on your phone, anytime they're asking you to download an additional app. They're using all that to try to steal your funds, and they're very successful, which is why we've seen less burglaries, less impersonation at the bank, because it's just so easy when they gain your information. And I just wanted to share one last one that we are seeing across the valley. Gary mentioned it earlier, the people that are going to you at ATMs. We did catch one rain, but there is, I believe, another one still active. They've been a little bit dormant, but I'm thinking as it's a little warmer outside, it'll come back. And these are happening at the grocery stores, at your CVS or Walgreens, and they're coming up, returning a $20 bill that you dropped on the floor. And what they're getting you to do is open up your wallet. As soon as you open up your wallet, somehow, some way they are snatching your debit card out of that wallet. So they automatically have your card and they're hitting the ATMs. We did have, unfortunately, and then, you guys asked, well, how's that possible? As our technology advances, as AI gets more sophisticated, we try to meet the needs of our clients and provide accessibility. So our ATMs inside are equipped to give a little bit more cash than the ones outside. And these fraudsters know that. So unfortunately, one individual did get $3,000 to $5,000 withdrawals out of their account before it was flagged. And that was within minutes. So here's the thing: nobody should ever ask you to open up your wallet. If somebody's trying to return cash, you simply take it or deny it. Preferably deny it. Luckily, in all the incidents, it doesn't get physical or violent, but they are trying to assist you put your groceries back into your vehicle. Just respectfully decline, walk away, don't open your wallet. If they try to return you that money, you deny it. And then again, those phone numbers, that will save you guys from a lot of headache, because they are very, very good once you answer that phone. 9 times out of 10, once you answer the phone, they've already got you. Luckily, the most recent one that I had was Friday night. We were able to freeze her accounts at the time. Luckily, they didn't take anything. They could have, but as soon as they identified the customer had over $70,000, they weren't playing for a few $100. They wanted to play for the whole $70,000. So that actually worked in her favor, but she did pause and say, you know what, what didn't make sense was that they said they were Chase when they called me. I think with Wells Fargo, I didn't tell them that, and they asked me to sign into my account, and when they seen that, they were like, oh, well, we also represent Wells Fargo. So that moment they ran to the bank, but yeah, so it all started from the phone call. We're going to be hanging out here. We do have some material. We could go over more common scams that you're seeing, but I I'm going to leave you with those two tips right now, because that is probably the more prevalent fraud that we are seeing, and that's going to help you all keep your finances protected, help us also continue to assist customers. We'd love to have you come into our branch and bank. Sometimes we just don't have the personnel to assist with fraud. It does take us about 2 hours to undo some of the fraud that's happening. So, you know, all of Sun City isn't in this building. But you have a neighbor, you have a friend, you have a family member, you're in clubs. The more you can advocate against fraud, the more it's going to help us keep those numbers down and at the end of the day, protect your finances. But that's all I have to share this afternoon. I'll turn it back to Mary.
Was to not go and use the ATM at night after the bank is closed by yourself. It's just not a good idea. People are waiting for people to come to the ATM, and especially if you are moving as fast as you used to, which a couple of us have that problem. All right, the next one I want to introduce is actually our Vice President of Neighborhood Preparedness Team, Sherry Albert. Sherry was in medical billing for over 35 years. In fact, she just did some billing for the lady she used to work for, so there's no yet. She can't do it. So anyway, she has great information. It's changing minute by minute. There was a video I sent to her yesterday from Meta Oz, who is in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. And it's, when you see this video, which I hope to be able to put up on the NPT website, it will shock you. Sherry's billing experience lately has been with hospice, so I hope you'll touch on that, because it could happen to you and you don't even know it. So Sherry?
As Mary said, yes, I have lots and lots of billing experience. I've worked in hospitals, dialysis facilities, durable medical equipment, and most recently hospice. But one of the reasons why Mary wanted me to speak today is because I was the victim of Medicare fraud. I know all the things to do, it didn't matter, I was still the victim of fraud. I reviewed my explanation of benefits, we call them EOBs for short, last September, and found a claim for catheter supplies built on a company in Denver, Colorado. And I'm thinking, well, I don't get catheter supplies, so I called Medicare, and they said, yep, we get calls like this every single day. We'll open an investigation. That investigation may be resolved quickly, or it may take years for resolution. Someone may call you, but they may not call you. And eventually, I will see those claims reversed on my EOBs at a later date. Then I called my Medicare supplement plan because they got the same claim, but surprise, surprise, they didn't pay us. They had it pending for medical records, so I called them up and they said, we know all about that company. We're not going to pay those claims. That's why we have that claim pending. That's our flag to tell us not to process this claim. I'm thinking, that is awesome. 2 months go by, I look at my Medicare EOBs, and now that same company in Denver has billed 5 months worth of catheter supplies, $11,000. Now I'm really angry. So in addition to calling Medicare once again to open another investigation, calling my Medicare supplement who reassured me that nope, they were not going to pay those claims, I then called the company itself because the phone number was on my EOB. Of course you couldn't talk to a person, all you got was voicemail, and I left them a fairly nice voicemail asking them to please call me and explain why they're billing for supplies that I didn't receive. Of course I didn't hear from them. My next step was every claim that's submitted to Medicare has to have a prescribing physician. And that doctor's name was on my EOB. Not a phone number or anything else, doctor who works in a practice here in Henderson, Nevada. So I call up the practice, but guess what? He retired 2 years ago. So I told him what was happening, whether or not I contact this doctor and let him know that someone is using his provider number just to make claims. That I don't know, I never heard that from him either. But what we need to do to prevent fraud is never, ever, ever give out your Medicare number, your Medicare card, your Social Security number, or your Social Security card to anybody but a health care provider. You should also be aware that Medicare is never going to call you directly, unless there's a couple different situations. They'll call you if you've called them first and left a message. They may call you if you submit a claim for fraud. If you recently changed your plan and you went from Medicare to Medicare Advantage or vice versa, they may call you about that. Even though I didn't give out my Medicare number to anybody, and Mary also experienced fraud, and she didn't give her Medicare number out to anybody but healthcare providers, they still have a way of getting them, unfortunately. So if it happens to you, this is what you need to do. And by the way, all this information is on the flyer I'm going to have back in the NPT table at the end. Review your EOPs every single month. Every month. It doesn't matter how many times you go to the doctor. It doesn't matter if you go once a year. When you get that email that says you now have an EOB on your account, you need to go take a look at it and make sure that there's no charges that you're unaware of. Because I got billed for catheter supplies, Mary got billed for depression, her doctor was at something else, right? Some other kind of stuff, right? If you see claims that you know you did not get those services or those supplies, call Medicare, 1-800-MEDICARE, and they're going to have those phone numbers in the back. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you need to call that insurance company that's managing your Medicare Advantage plan and talk it over with them. If you have original Medicare, most of you probably also then have a Medicare supplement. You need to contact them as well to let them know not to process these claims. And it would be interesting to see how many of those insurance companies already have systems in place to catch these types of claims. The other thing is, let's get our elected officials involved. You know, I was so angry I decided I was going to send a letter to my Nevada senators. I explained to them what was going on. I said, why is it that Medicare, this great big huge company that processes all these claims, still uses such an antiquated system that they can't flag when there are fraudulent claims being billed, they can't inactivate provider numbers when doctors retire or are deceased. Why is it that a Medicare supplement, and mine is right over here, why is it that they can do this and Medicare cannot? What are we doing to stop this fraud? I have a sample letter there in the back on the flyer. I made it very generic for you, but if you guys want to send it in, put specifics on there so that they can see what's going on. So why is this important? Back in 2024, Medicare did an estimate and said that they were only going to have enough funds to cover 100% of claims up until the year 2036. Last year, they changed that number to 2033. So every year that number is getting closer and closer. I don't know if you're aware, but Medicare fraud, they're estimating it's anywhere from $60 billion a year to $100 billion a year. And so between fraud and rising healthcare costs, we can see that big change. This is your money. You're the ones that pay Medicare Part B premiums. How many of you all saw, we had a 10% increase this year in our Medicare Part B premiums. Did our Social Security go up by 10%? No. So it's this it's this cycle of, yeah, we're going to increase the Social Security, but then Medicare Part B premiums go up even more. So it's your money. You guys need to be part of slamming this scam. Thank you.
So